Hi everyone, this is Samantha Ward, and for this week's discussion post, I will be discussing poet and author Phillis Wheatley. Historian Laurel Thatcher Ulrich dedicated her career to studying many women in history. She describes her historical approach as a tribute to the silent work of ordinary people. I'd like to think that Phillis Wheatley was considered an ordinary person, but she did extraordinary things considering her situation. Arriving in Boston in July of 1761, a young black girl about the age of 8 with a slender frame was purchased by a wealthy Boston merchant. John Wheatley bought this young girl for his wife, Susanna, who needed a domestic in order to keep her company and tend to her needs. Her name was Phillis, and most likely named after the ship she arrived on. She was given the last name Wheatley after her new owners. Phillis was taught to read and write alongside the other Wheatley children and was very fond of the Bible, geography, history, and British literature. Though she got to experience a very rich and very unusual lifestyle for an American slave, Phillis longed to be part of a true academic atmosphere. She took her passion for reading and writing and began to write her own literature. In 1772, at the age of 18, Phillis had a 28-poem collection that she and Mrs. Wheatley ran advertisements for subscribers in the Boston newspapers. When colonists got the word that it was an African girl advertising her literature, they withdrew their support. The Wheatleys turned their frustrations into a search for a publisher in London. Phillis sent her Whitfield poem to Selina Hastings, a countess and wealthy supporter of evangelical and abolitionist causes. Selina instructed a bookseller by the name of Archibald Bell to begin correspondence with Phillis in preparation for her new book. On May 8, 1771, Phillis and her brother, Nathaniel Wheatley, made their way to London, where upon their arrival, Phillis was welcomed and celebrated as a poet by several dignitaries and abolitionists. As Phillis was crossing the Atlantic to get back home, Bell was already circulating Phillis's first volume of poetry entitled Poems on Various Subjects, Religion, and Morals. In her poetry, Phillis not only used classical and neoclassical techniques, but she also used biblical symbolism as well. Phillis was relieved of her domestic duties from the Wheatley family in 1774. In the years to come, everyone in the Wheatley family would pass away, leaving Phillis behind. On April 1st, 1778, Phillis married a free black man, John Peters, despite the disapproval of her close friends. Phillis and John made a decent life for themselves as free blacks until the end of the Revolution. They were driven into poverty, and John was left jobless, while Phillis was left to clean houses and homes. Phillis continued writing and publishing her work, except now it was just on a more limited scale. Over the next few years, Phillis did continue to get the chance to publish three books and another volume of poems, including one under her married name, Phillis Peters. On December 5th, 1784, at the young age of 31, Phillis Wheatley died alone in a boarding house with her writings. Though many of her poems have never been recovered, we still celebrate Phillis Wheatley as the first black poet in America to have her work published.